In this fourth video, I go on relating the events I lived with the voice of the perpetrators I call here Companions 96 on a state of partial madness. This voice led me in the partial madness barefooted on Tangier route in November 1996, as I explained in the previous third video. In year 1996, I used to work in an administration of the Ministry of Interior, namely Bnikhlef Mayor Center, and I abided alone in Mohammedia near Casablanca. My name is Azlaf Mohammed. I am native of El Ayoun near Oujda, some 600 kilometers away from Casablanca. I said in the third video that the voice led me by night about dawn at a crossroads in Tangier Road, district Sidi Slimane, and then ordered me to turn by the left bifurcation. So, from that crossroads on Tangier route, I went by the left bifurcation as I was ordered around dawn. In the daylight that started to appear, I finally dared to check around the sign, and only then, after I saw that bifurcation lead also to Kenitra, I deduced that I was led first all night barefooted by a road that leads to Tangier. At that stage of exhaustion, I was prone to ill interpretations. I thought then of the Kenitra political prison, and I thought that I was on my way to it, led by the voice of Companions 96. I still remember now the deep suffering I felt then at the thought of that prison. Then it was daylight when I was going up a bridge near the cemetery that is between the two clay houses groups, namely the tribes of Shibbanat and Bagarat in Sidi Slimane district, as I knew afterward. On that bridge, Companions 96 told me in Arabic, Kenitra, son of the prostitute. They said that insult, even though they may know that my mother was a noble woman who worked hard to send me to school when we were living in the El Ayoun countryside in the 60s. The voice repeated that insult, and I repeated it aloud myself. Then the voice told me in French, "You are free now." My instant reaction to that change was my shouting in French, "Free like a bird?" Then I immediately turned to go in the opposite direction to the one I came in, and I left the bridge. On that very spot near the bridge, as soon as I perceived a man working in his vegetable land with some women, I rushed toward him and asked him, "I will work with you." The farmer, obviously grasping the person I had been when he saw me barefooted with the bushy beard, asked me, "Do you have any identity papers first?" I replied to the farmer, "But at night you tether my feet." It was then that companions 96 came back and their voice ordered me, "Don't work with women." I then outright turned my head back in the direction of the bridge and replied aloud in front of those farmers in Arabic, "Have we found any care with men?" The voice then told me, shut up your mouth. You are an engineering technician." I replied to the voice aloud as I took their command for a reproach about an event in Sidi Hia Gharb village the day before in that same period, November 1996. In Sidi Hia Gharb, I stood near a building site and I bitterly regretted my career of technician that I abandoned. So I replied to the voice about that reproach. "Yes, I said that, but you must take in consideration the conditions I said it in." Maybe the fact that I replied to the voice aloud in front of those farmers had compelled Companions 96 to withdraw that day. It was also a proof that I was led via voice communications at distance and that information will be spread elsewhere among other people by those farmers. I left then the farmers and I walked again in the opposite direction to the one I came by in that morning. I lay on a lower ground spot near a raised part of the tarmac road. It was there that I spent that day, unable to stand or walk because of the harm and the swellings and the wounds of my feet after a night of walk barefooted. At some time of that day, before noon, a car loaded with bread stopped at the raised part of the road near me, but I didn't dare to go to it to ask for bread. Around noon, the peasant Hmuyin, who had been looking after his cows on the other side of the route near a fence of high trees, came to see me in company of his little son. Hmuyin gave me a dish of cooked vegetables and bread. When the following night started, first out of fear, I decided to rejoin the group of houses of the tribe Shibbanats. As soon as I approached the first houses of Shibbanat, two boys brought bread and sandals to me. Then, as soon as I took the bread and wore the sandals, the voice rejoined me again and ordered me, "Drop the bread and remove the sandals. Abandon all that on the spot and walk ahead towards the road." I obeyed the Companions 96 order and walked barefooted towards the bridge near the cemetery where the voice left me in the morning before. Because I recovered a bit mentally after a day of peace, I had a discussion with Companions 96 near the bridge. When the voice started again its night orders, I dared to protest in the following words. "The past night you told me that you were leading me to Mr. Obaha's house and that the Qaid Hajli is there waiting for me. But as for me, I had a conflict with them when I refused my transfer by them to the new mayor Santa Mansoria in 1992. These men, the Mayor Obaha and the Qaid Hajli, were my ex-heads when I used to work in Beni Khlef Louisiana Mayor Santa before it split and Mansouriya Mayor Santa was created. These administrations are one of the Ministry of Interior and are located near Mohammedia, some 20 kilometers away from Casablanca. The Voice didn't bother about my question and protest and just ordered me to head again back to Tangier Road that I came from in the morning before. I claimed in French, "Above all, now you make me change direction." I kept claiming, and the tension increased when I mentioned the name Vincent, taking this man as a member of Companions 96 group. Vincent was a man who told me that he was an Italian after he bluntly approached me in France Café in Boulevard Hassan II in central Casablanca at night in year 1987 when I used to work in Sidi Bernoussi Mayor Santa in Casablanca. Vincent told me that he was homosexual. This story of Vincent is published on my Facebook account as Lef Mohammed. When I mentioned the name Vincent that night during my discussion with the Voice of Companion 96 near the bridge, the Voice sternly ordered me, "Now, henceforth, don't utter any person's name." The Voice kept ordering me to go ahead, but I could no longer bear the pain of my wounded feet. Then the Voice ordered me, "Sit down on the ground," and I yielded. Then the Voice gave me the following instructions: "Join your two knees and place them at one side together. At our signal, you change the position quickly by bringing your joined knees to the opposite side." It was a means to break my resistance. I actually obeyed several signals and tried to practice the physical exercise in the sitting position. Then I told Companions 96 in French, "It is no longer like the past night. This time I resist." Then I got up deliberately on my own decision and rushed straight toward the houses of Shbanat tribe near the bridge. As soon as I reached the unlit houses, a boy who was first sitting there in the open air brought me white bread and cold black coffee without I asked him. This boy then asked me, "Who told you to drop the bread and abandon the sandals there the past moment when we gave them to you?" I didn't reply to the boy, and he didn't persist asking me. It was the leak that prevented Companions 96 from going on with their kidnapping of me in November 1996. The Shbanat tribe people established that I was led via voice communication in a state of partial madness. So the question is, was I going to end up in a laboratory of mind control experiences somewhere in the northern zone of Morocco or in a foreign country? It may be the fate of other targeted individual in Morocco. That boy from Shbanat tribe just pointed out to me the straw heap and suggested to me to spend the night in its side hole. I accepted the advice. I spent some days and nights as an honored guest of the generous Shbanat tribe people till I recovered my mental health and till my feet healed, and then Humayin's son-in-law led me to the Kouch route and sent me to Sidi Sliman, still wearing the black thick jillaba that a blind man from Shbanat tribe gave me when a woman led him to me, and still carrying the warm blanket that Humayin gave me before. To travel from Sidi Sliman to Muhammadiyah surroundings, I used the train, cabs, bus, coach, begging for help all the way. I had to spend one night in Ribat Qamra after the train crew compelled me to get out of the train in central Ribat railway station. But when I arrived to my ex-colleague Koheh Abdelali's house in roundabout kilometers 33 near Muhammadiyah, and after a rest of about 2 hours there, my elder brother, who abided in Ribat then, and without he contacted me or talked to me, brought the firefighters ambulance, and I was taken to the Muhammadiyah mental asylum against my will, and then the day after I was transferred to Saleh Mental Asylum Razi. Because then I had recovered mentally and ambulatory cares would be enough and better and safer than admission in asylum, I still take this move of leading me to the asylum as Companions 96 plot after they used my elder brother's services. In the following videos, I will talk about the other tortures that the voice of Companions 96 made me endure during the first stages of that kidnapping operation, mainly in Ribat and Saleh, because that controlled wandering had lasted 25 days and nights between November 10th, 1996 and December 5th, 1996. As reference for the technology of the voice and the sound that Companion 96 had used to lead me then, you have the book Mind Control, The Ultimate Brave New World by Dr. Nick Begish. It is on internet.